All right, it's now 8:50 and the Louisiana Committee on Parole is going to begin our session today. Today's date is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. I'd like for the staff here at headquarters to introduce yourselves. Jason Thompson? Sure. How about the staff there at Franklin Detention Center? Just have him introduce himself. Sir, would you please introduce yourself? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Well, yeah, I'm Lieutenant Ford, Franklin Parish Detention Center.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to introduce.
Ma'am.
I'm going to introduce the members of the committee today. Seated to my left is Mr. Chuck Tillis. Remote is Ms. Cheryl Renatza. My name is Jerry Ledoux. Mr. Richardson, before we get started, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that you recognize your signature, which is a parole questionnaire?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your answers to that questionnaire indicate that you are not qualified for appointed counsel. Do you have paid counsel? Have you retained an attorney for today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to be reading some allegations against you, and we would ask for you to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. After that, we'll ask you some further questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, we find, well, let me just ask you, can you state your name and your DOC number for the record?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Donald Richardson on DOC number 622248.
Okay. Mr. Richardson, you've been accused of violating condition number 4 of your parole in that you committed the offense of failure to register by living at 2422 Lone Cedar Road, Winsboro, without registering this address with the Franklin Parish Sheriff's Office. And on 12/13 of 2024, you admitted to living at 2422 in Winsboro, and your parole officer noted that children's items were inside the residence. How do you plead to that?
To the not reporting part, all right, I did get sidetracked with trying to get my wallet and everything so I can start working or whatever. But with the kids item part, when no kids living at the address, it's just the lady I was staying with, her and my sister, her daughter had just moved out and never moved all the stuff out the house.
Okay, so you admit to failing to register, but not being in the presence of children, you're pleading not guilty.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, number 4B, you admitted to illegal use of marijuana. How do you plead?
Not guilty because I ain't never tell him I was smoking. When he pulled up, he asked me, "Can I pass a drug test?" And I told him it was only one way to find out. But he told me he smelled marijuana. I never was smoking marijuana.
You did not admit to marijuana use.
No, man, I never told him I was smoking. When he pulled up, he said he smelled marijuana. Okay, she got a lot of neighbors live around her. Just because you smell marijuana, that don't mean that I'm necessarily smoking marijuana.
Okay.
I felt like if he felt like if I was smoking, he still supposed to been drug test me. You never drug test me.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Tillis to ask any questions he has.
Yeah, how you doing, Mr. Richardson? Good morning.
Good morning.
What happened with the why wouldn't you register?
I ain't gonna say that I wasn't trying to register, sir. All right, my sister had just moved back down here to from Kansas City to Winsboro. She was gonna move at 208 Willow Street, but she ain't have all the rent money, so she decided to move with one of her friends that she been knowing since 2017. At the time, Mr. Whatever his name is at the sheriff office, Mr. Todd, he told me that I couldn't live on Rolling Street with my mama due to the simple fact that she was in the area of a daycare. So I had to find somewhere else. I'm not from Winsboro. I'm from Tallulah, so I don't know nobody around here. But at the time, I talked to my sister, and she ended up talking to her friend. Her friend said it was all right if I can stay there. Okay, I know I supposed to have been text him or called him and told him the address, but when I found out that is where I was gonna be, I texted my PO and let him know. That's how he was able to come where I was 2422 Long Cedar Road.
I see. It says that you admitted to using marijuana. Was that true? I heard the first statement you made.
No, sir, I never told him I was smoking, sir.
How
When he
long?
When he pulled up on me, he told me he was like, I smear marijuana. Then he asked me, can I pass a drug test? I told him it was only one way to find out. Okay. Then he backdoored, told me to stand up so he can search me and see if I had any marijuana or any weapons on me. He searched me, never found nothing on me. He asked me, can he search the house? I told him, oh, it's okay with me. No, I ain't got no problem. Ain't nothing in there. So he searched the house, ain't find nothing in the house. He come back out, told me everything was good. But you still put me in handcuffs and put me out here. But you told my mama that you was only putting me in jail for a 3 to 10 day sanction for failing the drug test. But to come to find out, after a month and a half went by, it was more than what you said it was.
I see. How long had you been on parole?
Been on parole since September. I took the plea September last year.
Last year.
Yes, sir.
You hadn't had any problems since then.
I ain't never had no problems, sir.
Okay. If you're released again, are you going to comply with what with the officers, and are you going to keep your nose clean?
Yes, sir. Only thing I was trying to do was do right this time, trying to find me a job and everything. No, like I'm sorry, you feel me, that I got sidetracked, and I know I supposed to been text him that gave Mr. Todd the address. It just I got sidetracked with trying to work and get my wallet and stuff so I can work, so I can take care of my responsibilities.
Where are you going to be living if you get out now?
In West Monroe
With who?
with my ex-girlfriend. She wanted me to just come move in with her and just stay out of trouble. I was gonna get my job back at in Sonics on Thomas Road. That's why I was working at in 22 before I come to jail.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Ms. Renata.
Yes. Mr. Richardson, you said you're from Tallulah. How'd you end up in Winsboro?
Well, when I was back in 2014, 15, I had went on the Joes and ended up getting locked up. And by the time I got released, this where my mom and them was staying. Everybody was up here. That's the only reason why I ended up in Winsboro. This where my family was.
And you weren't living, so wherever you were, where the kids' toys was not a family member's house. Is that what you said?
Yes, man. It was my sister friend, somebody that she been knowing since she been down here in Winsboro. No, they was in Winsboro way before I was. I ain't coming to Winsboro until 2017.
Right. What other family did you have in Winsboro?
I ain't had nobody else but my mom and my sister Kim. My sister Kim, she got 2 little girls and a little boy, so I know I
And
couldn't
she
be
lives
there.
with your mother? She
No,
lives with your
ma'am.
mother?
No, ma'am. She live in MLK. She got her own house.
It concerns me. You're saying all the right things, but you're a sixth offender. You've been through this before. We take this serious, and saying you're getting sidetracked is not really, doesn't wash with me. I'll just say it that way. I'm just going to think about it a little more. Ms. Ledoux, that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Ms. Renata. That was some of my same thoughts, because when we're talking about registering, you know why you have to register. And you know that you have additional conditions on top of the standard conditions because you're a sex offender.
Yes, ma'am.
And as Ms. Renata stated, we don't take this lightly. That's not, you have the obligation to make sure that everything is done correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Position. If, do you have any more questions? Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am. As far as I understand about the reasoning and the sex offender part, but like it was my first time ever being on something like this, and no, I was really trying to get everything down pat, get the steps and all that down pat, or what I have to do.
You say you've been out how long on parole?
I was only out 3 weeks before he put me back in jail. I was only out 3 weeks, and I was finna start working and everything so I can do the papers and try to pay my parole and stuff. But I ain't get a chance to because he ended up putting me back in jail.
Okay, but you realize you have to register and do all the other things to stay out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's not.
No, I
have
did.
you were paroled April of 2024 and detained in December of 2024. That's more than a couple of weeks.
No, I went home. I went home November of 24, like 2 days before Thanksgiving of 24, and he put me back in jail December the 13th of 24.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. Oh, is because you delayed not having a residence plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what, okay. I understand that. All right, panel prepared to vote?
Yes. I'm gonna give you another chance. My vote's gonna be not to revoke. And I hope that you will comply with the rules and regulations that we set up for you.
Yes, sir.
I have a technical question before I vote, Ms. Ledoux. I noticed in my notes say that his master prison record has listed his full term date in November of this year, but I saw it somewhere else where it's May of 27.
That's that too. Would you like me to check that out before you vote, Ms. Renata?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Okay, so we'll go into executive session if I can have a vote on that.
Yes,
Renata?
Yes.
Tilly?
yes.
Yes, we're going to go in executive session to ascertain the correct out date.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the time is now 9:09. We're returning. If we can get a return vote.
Tillis,
Yes.
Ledoux,
Yes.
Renata.
Yes.
Okay, we have, Mr. Richardson, it appears that you have three different types of supervision going on, well, three different charges. And we got some clarification on that. I think we're prepared to continue to vote. Mr. Notson.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Richardson, it's my understanding, I learned that you do have a court date set in March for a probation violation for the sex offense. Is that right? Are you aware of that?
No, ma'am.
You have a court date of March 25th. So my vote today is going to be to continue your case until after that court appearance.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see what the judge is going to do in that case first before I decide what to do with you on the revocation allegations.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
my vote is to continue pending that outcome.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would vote the same. I don't want to make a decision prior to the judge's decision, which he is the controlling force on that particular charge. So my vote is also to continue. So a vote of 2-1, you're going to be continued until after the disposition of your March 25th court hearing. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll see you again at the end of March.
Yes, ma'am.
Franklin, and it's 9:12. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Why I can't hear? Why I can't hear?
They probably got us muted.
Can you hear me?
All right. The Committee on Parole is impaneled in Baton Rouge. On the panel today, to my left is Phyllis. Remotely is Michelle Renanza and Jerry Ledoux. We are at East Baton Rouge. Is there any staff there that needs to introduce themselves? No. Okay, are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Lieutenant Murphy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Murphy. Sir, would you please introduce yourself, your name and your DOC number?
Juan Thomas, 755-516.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, you're before this committee today for a parole revocation decision. Do you see a parole revocation questionnaire in front of you that you recognize your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have appointed counsel today, or is that retained counsel?
I got a private counsel, ma'am.
Okay, so you have with you Zachary Heyer, your attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Heyer, you are able to guide your client as you need. We're going to be asking him reading some allegations and asking him for a plea, and then we'll be discussing the case, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Mr. Thomas, you are before this panel today with allegation of violating condition number 3 of your parole contract, in that you failed to remain in the state of Louisiana. You were arrested in the state of Texas on 12/9/2024 for a parole warrant, and you traveled without being given written permission from your supervising officer. I need you to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement.
Not guilty, ma'am. Well,
Okay. We'll get to that.
Guilty
Just-
with this.
Okay, Counselor, you would like to speak at this point?
I would like to advise my client to plead guilty with the statement, Your Honor.
Okay. Sir, would you amend it to guilty with a statement?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have guilty with a statement. I would note that you also have someone in the room not wishing to speak, Kiera Butler, a friend. So we're going to now ask Mr. Tillis if he would like to. Would you like to make a statement, Mr. Heyer, or would you rather us start the questioning and you guide him through the questioning?
We can begin with the questioning, and I can help him with the guiding him through that.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you?
Okay, could you tell me what happened, why you didn't get with your parole officer? You failed to notify them?
It was a very important matter. My mom's had stage 4 cancer. So, you know, I had to hurry up and take her to the hospital. I had to bring her around December 5th, but I ended up getting pulled over when I made it down there, like around the 9th. I got pulled over coming from the hotel.
Say again what you said. Who was with stage cancer?
My mom's.
So you had an emergency?
Yeah, I got her doctor's papers. I had brought it to the hearing on the 7th.
And if I may add, I do have those documents attached in an email that I could provide to the panel if that would be helpful as well.
Okay. So did you get in touch, well, after you were arrested, you got pulled over for speeding, you said?
No, not speeding. They pulled me over for said something was funny about my not temp tag, my tag in the back. Cause I ain't had the hard plate. I had the paper in the back.
Okay.
I ain't
Alright.
getting I ain't getting in trouble. None in Texas. I ain't catch no charge, no nothing. I was bringing my mom's down there for the for her doctors. Her doctor's way in Galveston. Is in Galveston, Harris County, like 30 minutes away from there. But you know, we had to find a cheaper hotel, so I just hurried up and brought her down there. My stepdad was at work, so I just took the chance and bring it. I ain't know I was supposed to go get the travelers permit. If I knew, I would have got one.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Ms. Renata?
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute. I don't have any questions. I'd like to hear what Mr. Heyer has to say.
Mr. Heyer, if you will, at this time, help us understand the situation from the offender's perspective.
Yes, Your Honor. As I said previously stated, Mr. Thomas did provide us with the documentation that his mother is suffering from stage 4 bladder cancer and that she was there on December 5th to receive treatment. And Mr. Thomas does acknowledge that he did not take the necessary steps as he should to get that permission, but it was exigent circumstances that led him to bring taking care of his mother and transporting her to Galveston to do the her appointments. And like I said, I do have those documents if the panel wishes for me to provide them. I have both her full medical chart and a brief summary of what happened on the visits from the 5th through the 9th.
Mr. Heyer, does your client understand that the officers are always available to take those calls to be made aware of those situations? He is a second-class offender, so he's most likely been on supervision previously.
I understand that he did sign the contract and that he should have been aware, Your Honor. It was an oversight and judgment and a difficult time.
I have a question for the offender. Mr. Thomas, did you have employment during the time that you were on parole? It looks like you were paroled, if I'm not mistaken, April of 2024. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I've been doing good the whole time I've been home, ma'am. I've been doing excellent. I've been staying out of trouble. I ain't been catching no new charges. I ain't been doing nothing. I've been staying on track. I got a family out there. I've been trying to stay with my family and do right. I understand that second time offender. I was trying to do right.
I mean, I read your supervising officer's notes, and it looks like both your mom and dad indicated that you were not welcome at their house during certain times in that supervision, and you were having problems with both of them.
Yes, ma'am. When I first came home, my family thought I was still the same man that I was before I went to jail. So, we had altercations, but I still, what I'm saying? I still was there for my mom when she needed help to go to the hospital and stuff. Like right now, me and my mom's on good terms. Like we on good terms. We had a family disagreement. That's all, just a family disagreement.
Okay. By disagreement. At one point you were living in a U-Haul. I don't see that you've had much stability. That's what I'm concerned about since you've been out. Okay.
I have another question. Mr. Thomas, when you were stopped in Texas, whose car was it that you were driving?
I was driving my friend's car.
Where was your friend?
He was in the car with me.
So he rode with you to take your mother to her appointments?
Yes, ma'am.
I have the same concerns as Mrs. Ledoux when I look at your record and your stability when you were after your release from prison.
I've been trying to contact I wasn't stable, you know what I'm saying? I'm first home, I'm fresh home, I'm trying to get me a job and stuff like that. I had a family disagreement because, you know what I'm saying, what I was doing when I first came home, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't doing right, but
I can tell. The record reflects that.
But at the end, I started doing right though. At the end, I started getting myself together. I had to say, "Oh, I can't be the same one." You see what I'm saying? I gotta do stuff different. I got a son out here. But I haven't caught any charges. I never had caught any charges in Texas. I never caught any charges, but they did make a report on me. But it was just like I don't want him here. He acting the
Right.
same and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I saw that.
I was trying to fix myself. I was trying to fix myself. I'm asking for another chance, please.
So okay, all right, calm down. What if you were not revoked today, what would be your plan?
My plan is to go live with my friend and get my job back that I had. I was working at Popeyes.
When did you last work at Popeyes?
December the time I went to jail, around December 6th. I mean not 6th, 5th.
Okay. All right. Because, we see in June you were released in April. We see in June where you were living out of a U-Haul trailer somewhere on Florida Boulevard and then in Livingston Parish and, kind of like you were homeless, I suppose. And I do see some contact with your parents. So I'm a little concerned about, you.
Yes, ma'am. I got a friend that came to the board today. That's who I'm gonna be staying with. I'm asking for another chance, please.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. Thank you, Miss Ledoux.
So Mr. Thomas, unless your attorney has anything else to add, the panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
Okay.
My vote is to do not revoke. I'm gonna give you another shot.
Thank you.
And if you're gonna be living with someone and you're gonna get stable and get your job back, my vote today is to do not revoke.
Ms. Renatza?
Mr. Thomas, I can appreciate your concern for your mother. I'm gonna give you another shot also.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll issue a reprimand, return you to supervision. You must maintain full-time employment.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would like for you to submit to routine random drug screens.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What parish are you from, Mr. Thomas? East Baton Rouge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I certainly don't want to load you up. I will continue supervision, but if you're not employed, I think it might be good to have a day reporting center assessment to see what kind of services they may be able to provide you with. Because I think you need a few more tools in your tool chest. I'm not comfortable with your stability. I'm just going to tell you. So in addition to Ms. Renatza's requirements, I'm going to add that you get evaluated by the day reporting center.
Yes, ma'am.
This in no way minimizes or mitigates the fact that you broke your condition of parole. And you have to understand you will have very little grace after this, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
If you come before the board. All right, so today the vote has been to not revoke, continue on supervision with additional requirements. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our business at East Baton Rouge, and the time is now 9:36.
Thank you. What's that like?
It could be they just wait on somebody else that's committed or something. Oh, they got another here. So, for names.
Okay, the time is now 9:43, and the Louisiana Committee on Parole is going to be hearing an offender at Rapides Detention Center. On the panel today, and to my left is Chuck Tillis. Remotely, we have Michelle Renatza. My name is Jerry. With the staff there, introduce yourself, please.
Ashton Basco.
Staff. You have staff with you?
Sergeant Marsh.
Thank you, Sergeant. Okay, sir, now would you please introduce yourself with your name and your DOC number?
Yes, ma'am. My name's Ashton Blaze Basco, and my DOC number is 779450.
Mr. Basco, do you have a parole questionnaire in front of you that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So your answer to that those questions indicate that you are not eligible for appointed counsel. Do you have retained counsel? Do you have an attorney with you?
No, ma'am. I represent myself.
Okay. So, Mr. Basco, I'm going to be reading some allegations of violations against you, and I will ask for a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. Not ask for your statement at that time. Will allow you to answer it when we get to the questioning.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Basco, you have two allegations against you for number 4, A and B. A, it says you committed the offense of criminal damage to property less than $1,000, which is a misdemeanor, and telephone harassment, which is a misdemeanor, on or about 10/4/2024, in which you were arrested by the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. On 1/24/2025, those charges were null pros. How do you plead to that?
I took credit for time served on one misdemeanor, and they dropped the other two. The first two they dropped, and I took credit for time served on the violation of a protective order. But I plead guilty to it.
Okay, so you did plead guilty to the violation of the protective order under Rapides docket 364103, and got 9. Okay. We're going to ask Ms. Renatza if she would like to begin questioning.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Basco, tell us what happened with the protective order issue.
Yes, ma'am. Well, me and my girlfriend, we got in a little fight. You know, things got blown out of proportion. She was mad at me, and you know, she put a restraining order on me.
She was your girlfriend at the time, or your ex-girlfriend?
She was my girlfriend at the time. I was living with her. I violated the restraining order because I was calling her to see what she was going to do with my stuff, because she had me arrested from her house. I was living with her. You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay, so if the record says y'all got in an argument or whatever, you threatened to kill her, she got the restraining order or protective order, and then once you were arrested, you were calling her and harassing her from the jail.
No, ma'am. I called her one time, and I didn't threaten to kill her.
Well, usually if you just get in an argument, you don't file a protective order.
No, ma'am. But I didn't threaten to kill her. You know, she just blew it out of proportion.
So, in looking at your record, it seems as though you have a pretty serious substance abuse issue. Would you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What's your substance of choice? What do you? And I see that you were sent to treatment, but you never finished any of it. Why is that?
I wasn't ready to get clean, Your Honor. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready yet. It's something you got to be ready to do. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
So when are you going to be ready?
I'm talking to my grandma now. I finally got my family back talking to me and stuff. They weren't, they was showing me a little bit of tough love. I come from a good family. My uncle was the chief of police in Pineville and stuff. My grandparents own businesses and stuff. I have every opportunity to get clean, but they want me to go to a rehab and move out of the area. So that's what I'm gonna do if you don't violate me today. But even if you do violate me, I'm still gonna do that. I'm going to rehab and going to sober living.
Yeah. You had did your mother also file a protective order at some point in time?
Yes, ma'am. We had a falling out too. But it's mainly the drugs, when your people are on drugs, it ain't,
So how you've been staying clean since you've been locked up? You've been there since October.
Yes, ma'am. I've been staying away from it. Yeah.
How you manage that?
They ain't got no drugs in this jail. So you can't get out. But I ain't.
Let me end that.
That's the first jail I've seen. It's good to know.
This one buckle tight, but that's a good thing,
Yes, it is. I'm going to compliment Sergeant Marsh. That's a great job.
Yes.
Mr. Basco, tell us more specifically what your plan would be. You've already been to Beyond Horizons. You went to Palmetto. You never finished any of that, and those are good programs.
No, ma'am. If I was to get out, I'll probably go out to eat with my kids today and go to Beyond Horizon again because I like the program. And then I would like to go to Lake Charles to work in the plants up there, but I'd have to go to a sober living house and stuff after I got out of rehab, so I have some stability in my life.
Yeah. I don't know. Did they, I would have to know that they had accepted you. They have a bed for you.
No, ma'am. I haven't, dug into it or anything, but, it's my move's a small town and they usually have beds open.
That's what was so disappointing when I saw you just kind of left there, because that was a pretty good deal. I'm going to just sit back and listen to my colleagues if they have any questions, Mr. Basco. I think I'm pleased to see that you acknowledge you got a problem and you need to address it, particularly if you got kids.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have, Ms. Ledoux.
Philip?
These are questions that I was interested in. I have more.
Mr. Basco, my biggest concern is that people are afraid of you.
Yes, ma'am.
They're afraid of you. And I can't blame all of that on the drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like when a woman says that she is afraid enough to put a protective order, and when a mother puts a protective order, there's something severely lacking in your control, your ability to control yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do think that you need some help, but I think you may need to get it while you're inside so that they can address some of your anger management issues. And so I'm telling you, I want to help you. We want to help you, but understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not, so if you're ready to go ahead.
Yeah, I am. Ashton, what is your relationship with Miss Dean now?
Oh, we don't talk.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Look, I'm echo what Miss Ledoux said. I want to help you. I think you need some serious intensive treatment. And the only way I don't know if Beyond Horizons has a spot for you or not. I do know that we can make room for you in the Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Treatment Program. That's a DOC program, and it's a very good program. So my vote today would be in lieu of revocation, that you must complete the long-term Steve Hoyle substance abuse program. After release, of course, I'm sure the protective order is, I don't know if it expires or not, but you will have no contact order from the parole board, no contact with Brianna Dean at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Baco, I concur with Ms. Renata. You know, normally when people get off drugs, they say the right things, but I agree you need some more extensive training. I concur with her.
My vote is also to make sure that you go to a DOC substance abuse treatment program in lieu of complete revocation, and that you follow up with any recommendations they have, including Ms. Renata's requirement of no contact with the victim of the protective order. You know, Mr. Basco, you have an opportunity to get it right this time. It's on you, okay? So today, in lieu of revocation, you guys, well, the time is now 9:55, and that concludes our business here at Rep Peds. And I do want to say for the record, though, I commend the officers, the PMP officers who tried to supervise you, because I think they did a very good job and we had very good notes.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you.
All right. So that's it. That's it.
Okay, the time is now 10:02 and the Louisiana Committee on Parole is at, where are we? Patterson City Jail. And with the staff there at Patterson, introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Corporal Piggott.
And thank you, Corporal. And when you're ready and the offender's on screen, we'll ask him to, I'll go ahead and introduce us while we're waiting on him. My name is Jerry Ledoux. To my left is Mr. Tillis, and on virtual is Ms. Cheryl Renatza.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I was trying to make sure they hold on the phones.
Great, thank you very much. Sir, would you introduce yourself with your DSC number as well?
Claude Charlot, 588-499.
Okay,
How y'all doing this morning, man?
we're doing well. I was practicing your name yesterday. I said Charlotte or something like wanted to make it sound better. It's just Charlotte. Okay. Okay, Mr. Charlotte, you're here before the panel on allegations of multiple violations of your parole conditions. I'm going to read these conditions to you. You're going to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you have a signed parole revocation questionnaire in front of you.
No, ma'am, he does not.
Okay, we'll have that put on the screen. You'll look at that and identify that as your signature. You recognize your signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the answers to that questionnaire indicate that you are not qualified for appointed counsel. Okay, I'm gonna read the violations. Number 3, you failed to notify your assigned parole officer that you moved from the address located at 128 Briar Street, Schriever, and your whereabouts were unknown until you were arrested by the Morgan City Police Department on 10/5/2024. How do you plead?
Not guilty, man.
Okay. Number 4, you unlawfully entered into another person's home and you intentionally used force or violence on another. Subsequently, you were arrested October 5th, 2024 by Morgan City Police Department and were charged with home invasion, which is a felony, domestic abuse, battery, and a misdemeanor. The offense of home invasion was not billed, and the domestic abuse battery was null prost January 10th, 2025. How do you plead?
Not guilty, man.
Number 5, according to Morgan City Police Department arrest report, you, on August 5th, it was alleged that you were in possession of a dangerous weapon, specifically a hammer, while charging at a victim. Subsequently, you were arrested and those charges were taken care of as stated earlier. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty, man.
Number 6, you failed to provide proof of valid employment while on supervision.
Yes, ma'am, I'm guilty.
And number 10, you failed to pay monthly payment and you are in arrears $441. How do you plead?
Guilty, man.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Renat, so we're going to ask her to begin the questioning.
Good morning, Mr. Charlotte.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I see you pled not guilty to violating condition number 3 that had to do with you moving. Tell us what that situation was.
I just was staying in Schriever. I got permission from my parole officer to move to Schriever, man. It was a little rocky at my first address where I was staying at, so I moved to Schriever, and I was staying in a camper, and I moved in such of a hurry. I didn't have all my things when I moved to Schriever, so they saying that I left, but I did leave to come back to St. Mary to pick up all my clothes to go back to Schriever. I didn't leave permanently. I was just leaving to go pick up my things, but I didn't know I had to call and let her know. I didn't know I had to stay in Schriever permanently. I didn't know that I couldn't leave, period.
You're a fifth offender. You know the rules.
No, I'm saying I didn't know I couldn't leave. I didn't know I had to call because she transferred my address to Shreveport. So I didn't know I still had the same parole officer because I was waiting for them to come and assign me another parole officer. So I didn't know I was still in contact with her. You see what I'm saying?
So I'm reading the notes of the officer, and it says this is in August 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
I received a message from Mr. Charlotte informing me he was notified that I visited the residence attempting to locate him. He stated he was in Shreveport visiting his ill father and will return to Patterson this week.
Yes, ma'am. And then when I couldn't get back, she asked me, since you was taking so long to come back, do you want to transfer over? And we did the interview for the transfer, and she let me transfer to Shreveport over the phone to Thibodeau. She let me transfer.
All right. Well, what was at 128 Briar Street?
It's a lot in Shreveport. That's a camper. That's a campsite with campers on it, and that's just a lot number.
And so, were you staying there?
Yes, ma'am. That was my address.
Because I'm trying to find it. Yeah. He made the officer made contact with the owner of the campground. Does say it's a campground.
Yes, ma'am.
Made contact with the owner of the camper at lot 128, who informed me he never heard of you, nor did he recognize you from pictures she showed him. So I don't understand all that. Can you explain that?
9 times out of 10, if it would it been lot 28, and just not, they don't know a specific camper. It's just one big lot. So 9 times out of 10, all I can see him is going to the wrong camper, man. I'm not trying to make excuses. But I'm just stating that they had to go to the wrong, because it's only a lot number. There's 128 Briar Street. There's no specific camper number. As you can see on the paper, it's not saying camper 36 or camper 38. So they could have possibly went to the wrong camper.
Well, but she still tried to call you and couldn't get in touch with you. Let's just move on. Tell us what happened with the home invasion.
I had sexual relationships with a female, and we just stopped talking, and I guess she was vindictive, and she told me she was gonna put me in jail, and that's what happened, man. I stated it to my parole officer.
Yeah, how long had you known this lady?
That was my girlfriend.
How long had you known her?
I've been knowing her my whole life. She has a kid with my cousin.
Okay.
One of her sons is my cousin.
What about the domestic abuse?
Same incident, man. I caught these charges at the same time.
And so who was the victim of the domestic abuse?
Casey Gilly.
That's interesting. Because Casey Gilly, she was contacted in preparation for this hearing, and she said she only knew you for 5 days prior to the arrest for home invasion.
No, we were sleeping together for 5 days. That's probably what she meant.
And during those 5 days, they were constantly using meth.
I don't use drugs, man.
And she feels the drugs made you violent. She doesn't want you revoked, and she doesn't want any hard feelings, but that's what she says. Why would she say that if it's not true?
All I can say is I'm glad she don't want me revoked, and I'm glad she has no hard feelings, but she could possibly still be mad at me. That's all I can say, man. I don't want nothing to do with her.
That's probably a wise choice. So what about using the hammer to get into the house?
I never used no hammer. I was those 5 days I was there, man. I was driving her car. Her keys were attached to her key lock. I don't have to break into the house, man.
Well, it says that you took the air conditioning out. Would you use the hammer to take the air conditioning out and went in through the window?
I went through the front door, man.
Okay, you pled guilty. You pled guilty to no proof of employment. Why weren't you employed?
I just came home and I was bouncing around from house to house. You know what I'm saying? I just did
No, I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you got out in May. You were detained 5 months later. So why didn't you bounced around for 5 months?
No, I was working jobs, like cash jobs. Like, but I only money I had was to buy toothpaste, toothbrushes. I just did 3.5 years, man, to come home, and I only had enough to provide food and hygiene for myself. I didn't have enough money I just had basic necessity.
Why were you seeking cash jobs?
I couldn't find I never had transportation to drive or basically a house to stay at consistent to go to work.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'm going to just sit back and listen. And at the appropriate time, I would move for executive session.
Okay. Mr. Tillis, do you have questions?
No, I'd rather go into executive session.
I do have one question before we do that. Reading over the parole officer's notes, I'm curious, what is your relationship with your father right now?
We not talking, man.
You what?
We're not in contact, man.
Yeah. And that's because the parole officer spoke with your father and he said that you were tearing up his house and that he had to put you out 7 to 8 days ago. And he didn't know where you were. Why would you be tearing up his house?
All I can say, ma'am, is it sounds like I got a lot on my back that's going against me. I don't sound like there's nothing going in my favor. You know what I'm saying? I take full responsibility for everything that I have done. But those people, that's not my biological father. My name is Claude Charlot III, and his name is Gregory Johnson. So that's not that's just somebody that I was calling my father. He was supposed to be a father figure, but the girl that I had that I was staying with over there, he was sleeping with also. He just wanted me out. Just to be honest, if we talking realistic, I'm gonna just keep it all the way. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to let y'all know the real.
Okay, so we're going to go into
Let me ask another question for you. If you, what are your plans if you get out? What do you plan to do?
My plans when I get out, sir, honestly, is I'm going straight to my sister in Brownell Homes, and I'm going to give me a job, and I'm just going to be a productive citizen of society.
Okay, so how are you going to be able to get a job if you go there?
Then my sister has transportation, and I'll go. Even if I have to walk the Pizza Hut, and I'll go. But I've got people that works at PMI, and I'm gonna try to get some type of contacts to go work there, sir. I'm really looking forward to going start over and fresh with a fresh start.
Okay.
vote to go into session.
Renato,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
no.
Yes. Okay, the time is 10:15. We're going into executive session. Hang on, y'all. Just a minute. Mr. Charlotte, we're going to vote to go back into regular session.
Renata,
Yes.
Phyllis,
Yes.
Ledoux.
Yes. And now it's 10:21. We're back in session. Mr. Charlotte, Ms. Renata, the panel's getting ready to vote. Ms. Renata is going to vote first.
Mr. Charlotte, yours is really complicated case. I mean, it's, you know, I appreciate that you tried to keep it real for us and tell us the real thing, but there's so many different stories here. I don't know. I'm worried about you. And, you know, I agree. Miss Ledoux expressed some concerns about stability. Apparently, you didn't have much.
No,
Because you were
man.
bouncing around here and there and yonder.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and so my vote today is going to be to revoke your parole. I will make a recommendation, though, that you be considered for a work release opportunity, because I think that would help you gain some stability. I'm not going to order it, but I'm going to make the strong recommendation that you be considered for work release. I do wish you well. Good luck, sir.
Mr. Tillis.
I concur with Ms. Renata.
I thought also, based on what I consider non-compliance with your conditions of release, that you be revoked and be considered work release. Mr. Charlotte, stability. I hope that you have a better plan when you release the next time so that you can have more success. So today, your parole has been revoked. The time is now 10:23 and we're signing off Patterson City Jail. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Broke my parole. Oh.
Committee on Parole is impaneled today with Chuck Tillis to my left, Ms. Renata on virtual, and I'm Jerry Ledoux. I see, could you introduce yourself, staff member there at Jefferson?
Deputy Marlboro with Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office.
Thank you.
You ready for him?
Yes, we are.
All right, it's Ronald. Ronald Delaney, stand for the.
All right, thank you. Good morning, sir. This is the parole panel. I don't know if you heard me introduce Mr. Tillis, Ms. Renat's virtual, I'm Ms. Ledoux. Why don't you introduce yourself with your name and your DOC number?
My name is Ronald Delaney, DOC number 610388.
Okay. Mr. Delaney, you're before us for violation of your conditions of parole. I would like to note that you have Tia Joseph, your sister, Stacy Bernard, your manager, and Katina Marie Jones, a friend. And two of them wish to speak, and we will allow them to do that at the appropriate time. Sir, I'm going to read some violations against you. What I would like you to do is enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, or guilty with a statement. Okay? You're charged with violating parole condition number 2 on that 9/12/2024. You failed to show up for a scheduled office visit. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Number 4, on 10/17/2024, you are arrested by the Kenner Police Department on warrants issued by the Gretna Police Department for the charges of domestic abuse battery and domestic abuse child endangerment. The charges were refused 12/19/2024. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
And number 10, you failed to make payments toward your parole supervision. So you are $1,701 in arrears. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
Okay. We'll go ahead and hear from people who are wishing to speak on your behalf, and then I'm going to be asking you some questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's allow Tia Joseph. You would like to make some statements to the board?
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Good.
I want to start off by saying God is good, that we were able to start this hearing today. I just wanted to speak on his behalf because he is truly loved by his family, and for a situation like that to happen, especially being falsely accused of something like that, especially it was just wrong. It was just wrong. That's all I wanted to say. And also I wanted to state that he was doing so good. He was working. He just got his TWIC card. Everything was going good for him. He was only going to see his parole to ask for permission for something and for someone to have a warrant out of his knowledge. But the charges were dropped, and we're just asking today to let you know that he is supported and loved by his family and friends.
Thank you for those words. I see also Stacy Bernard. You will make a statement.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning. How you doing? I'm his manager at Island Fresh Solutions. We're a janitorial service. Ronald's a very good employee of ours. Always on time, hardworking, dedicated. He's always there when we need him. So, I mean, I just wish that he could come home and that he could just carry on with his life.
And are you saying that you would reemploy him?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Most definitely.
What is his wage?
Right now, he's being paid $13.50 an hour.
Okay, thank you so much for the information. Appreciate
Yes,
it. Okay. All right, Mr. Delaney, why are you here? Real story. I want to hear the real story. Why are you here?
I was in a relationship, and you know how relationships go. It'd be up and down. We had our problems, but it was just like simple problems, like I ain't. I apologize. I'm getting caught up a little bit. It was just a relationship problems. Me and her went through our ups and downs. Um, that's it. That's all.
How long were you in a relationship with this individual?
About a year plus.
Any children between the two of you?
No, ma'am.
Who was the child that they said was endangered?
That was her daughter.
The one report I saw said you were beating her up in a car, and then she got out of the car.
Ma'am?
One report I read said you were beating her while she was in the car, and then she got out of the car. And then you had another incident. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You had two incidences.
Yeah, I had two incidents with her, and it was alleged that I had assaulted her, which I did not assault her at all. Then I had left the scene, and I was notified later on that the police arrived there, and she must have talked to the police and told the police whatever she told the police. And then like after that, like we got back together, like we're still back talking again, and then it just like I think it wasn't a good time for both of us to continue on in that relationship. But we were just steady trying to, I guess, make it work, and it just didn't work.
So if you were just by chance happened to be released, would you continue that relationship?
No, ma'am.
Is that a mutual thing?
I would believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Notice you had a lot of different jobs while you were out. Let's see, you got out in 22. And you had a lot of different jobs. You would stay a little while and get another job. Tell me about your housing and your employment situation.
Like at this moment,
I know where you're located at this moment, but I mean, where was it stable?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be with my sister, Jamisa Scott. She live in Metairie, Louisiana. I have the address right here in my pocket because I don't know about heart, to be honest. The address is 2518. I don't know the name of this.
What you got there?
Giuffris Avenue, Griffith Avenue, apartment 16, Metairie, Louisiana.
Okay. So, let me ask you one more time. Were you guilty of putting your hands on your girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
Do either of my colleagues have any questions?
Yeah. Mr. Ronald, I'm sorry. You said it's been noted that you had lots of jobs and you have a job before you were incarcerated. Why are you delinquent on your payments?
Really, I just really had a lot going on, and I was living with certain people that I had to like help them pay rent, and I was really going through the motions at the time.
Okay, you do realize you have to pay these payments, and I think it was like $65. Is that right?
I can't. Your screen going in and out. If you say something, it broke up.
I say, you do realize you have to pay these payments.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so you've gotten behind about $1,700, even though you have to assist with rent in the other places. How long were you staying with your girlfriend?
I was staying. I was really paying all the bills, to be honest with you. And I stayed with her about like I want to say a year.
Year, about a year. Okay. Was she? I have no more questions.
Okay. Ms. Renata?
I just really had one question about the report I read. This is the domestic abuse issue, said that there were visible bite marks on Miss Pendleton. Can you explain that, Mr. Delaney?
Man, I don't know where the bite marks come from. I don't see myself biting anyone.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
I will note for the record that it looks like your full term date is June 20th, 2025. So, you were detained in October, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna vote today to do not revoke, continue on supervision. Your out date is getting very close. I also would condition on you while you're on supervision until June 20th that you have no contact with the victim in the situation. No contact. That's on paper. That's the same thing as a protective order. You know what I'm saying? That's just my, you have two other votes, but that's my vote. Mr. Tillis?
I concur with Ms. Ledoux.
Mr. Ronaldson?
I agree. Do not revoke. Add the condition. Do not contact Deja Pendleton.
Okay, so your parole has not been revoked. Don't look at that as anything but grace, okay? Because really, I believe you violated the conditions of your parole. But I can hope that our requirement will keep you straight for at least 4 more months and stay away from her. Keep her protected. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that concludes our business at Jefferson. It's 10:44, and we are signing off here.
Love you.
Love you. All right.
Okay, the time is now 10:51. We're at Bossier Parish maximum security facility. Today, the parole committee is made up of Mr. Chuck Tillis to my left, Ms. Cheryl Renatza, who is joining us remote, and my name is Jerry Ledoux. Sir, would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
TAVORREOUS FLEMING, 583083.
Mr. Fleming, you're before this panel today on allegations of violation of your parole conditions. Do you have a parole revocation questionnaire that you can confirm your signature on? Do you have that with you?
I don't have it on my person right now, but I do have one.
I want you to verify that. Do you see your signature and verify it?
Yes, ma'am.
The answers to that questionnaire indicate that you are not eligible for appointed counsel. Have you retained an attorney?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to read the allegations against you, Mr. Fleming, and if you'll respond with a plea of either guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. Let's see, technical difficulty just a minute. Okay, sir, you're accused of violating condition number 4 of your parole in that on September 17th, 2024, you were arrested for the offense of domestic abuse, battery of a pregnant victim, and felony criminal property damage. You were arrested by the Bossier Parish Police Department on December 2nd, 2024. Those charges were null prost. How do you plead that?
Not guilty.
Mr. Fleming, why don't you explain what happened? I mean, you were arrested. I actually have pictures of, we do have Miss Reyes with us, right? Did she join us?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, I'm here.
Okay. So we have pictures of her with injuries. So why don't I hear from you and you tell me what happened in that situation?
It was just a misunderstanding. We got into an argument earlier that morning, and she wanted me to leave the property and was packing up clothes, and in the mix of fighting over the clothes, she stumbled, fell and hurt her elbow. And that's pretty much the basics of everything and how it took place. I mean, I never put my hands on her or hit her or anything like that to have a domestic abuse battery. She just simply fell, like she stumbled from us fighting over the clothes when she was trying to pack them in the trunk of the truck, and I was trying to unpack them, and we was kind of in a tug of war over our children's clothes because we have a daughter and a son together. And in the mix of that, she stumbled back and fell and scratched her elbow up on the ground, and that's how she got the injury to her elbow.
Who called the police?
She did.
So she obviously, if she called the police, it was more than just a stumble to her. Okay. My report indicates that she came at you with a knife. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So how long have you two been together?
Since October 17th of 2019.
And how many times, well, let's see, you were released on parole in 24, 6/28/24. How many times have the police been called to your residence about problems between the two of you since 19?
Twice. I think they both happened in 2024.
Okay. So why are you not getting along?
We are no longer together. And when I got out of prison in 2024, that was the address that I used because it was the address that I was living at before I went to prison. And just in the midst of getting things together, she was still helping me out because I fresh had got out, and our daughter just started Head Start, so it was kind of easier to just use the address and stay at the address to try to get things situated instead of coming out and, you know, not having anything. And it just seemed like the right thing to try to do, but we just bump heads a couple of times and things just get escalated. But I mean, I usually always walk away and leave, and it just be heated situations because we are no longer together, and trying to, I guess, figure out the right routes to take. It just things sometimes lead to other things, but I mean, I never put my hands on her. I always try to leave and, you know, try to walk away and stuff. And that's what happened that day. And I left the scene, and the cops found me in the neighborhood wandering around, and I was trying to let her cool down and let the situation de-escalate, and I ended up getting arrested for it.
Okay, so at this time, Ms. Reyes has indicated she would like to speak, so we would like to hear from you now.
Yes, ma'am. Well, like he said, it was a misunderstanding because I honestly think that it was my hormones with all of that. Because I've never, like, we never argue like that to where things escalated like that day. Like, we always just, like, you know, say things back to each other. And like he said, he will leave the house and go elsewhere. But he's not the aggressive type, so I'm not afraid of him if he was to get out.
Do you plan to have a continued relationship, Ms. Reyes?
A co-parenting relationship, yes, ma'am.
Is he are you having a,
No, ma'am.
so he's not the father of this child? Okay.
Well, she was pregnant, but she's no longer pregnant. I was the father, but she ended up losing the baby because of stress,
The
or
stress.
it just when I first
Wasn't the right moment for me to be pregnant.
yeah, we both are still going through a lot from the arrest and me going to jail and doing time. And she was pregnant when I was arrested, but probably 2 months later, 3 months later, she went to the hospital and the baby didn't have a heartbeat. So we ended up losing the third child.
Can I ask the question?
Sure.
So did you slip on your own and fell?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. From, like he said, tugging on the clothes back and forth.
Okay.
I would like to ask about your employment history, Mr. Fleming. Were you employed since you've been out?
Yes, ma'am. I got out June 28th, I believe, June 28th. And I mean, I had a job before I got out. I started working on was supposed to be July 4th, but our son turned 2 July 4th. So I actually started July 5th. I started July 5th. And I've obtained a job since then. Like I still have, and I'm still employed when I do get out. If I was to get out, I still have my job waiting on me.
You have not been in arrears of your supervision fees?
No, ma'am, because I was still getting things set up. Like I said, our daughter, she just started school, and I spoke to my parole officer about it, James Newsom, and he understood the situation. And I mean, I think it was the first month or the second month that I didn't. I think it was 1 or 2 months that I didn't pay. But when I went to the parole and probation place at 2525 Erie Drive, and they notified me that everybody who was on parole in Bossier Parish was to report to Minden at that time, I was going to pay whenever I went to go see him, which was actually the next day on a Wednesday. But I ended up getting arrested, so I was never able to go out there and see him in Minden. But I was going to be caught up when I went out there. It was just, at first, when I first got out, getting a job and getting things situated, buying stuff, clothes, and getting my daughter in school and babysitters for our son and stuff. It's just I never got around to actually starting the payment with him.
Okay. I know that you were stopped for drunk and disorderly in August. You have a substance abuse problem?
No, ma'am. I wasn't drunk or anything in August.
The record says that you were detained for drunk and disorderly.
I had some old warrants out of Shreveport. They pulled me over. I was going to go pick up Ulissa from work at Metro, and they pulled me over at the Metro. That's where I pulled over at. And I had 3 old warrants for traffic violations out of Shreveport, and that's why they detained me and took me to the city jail. But she bonded me out the next morning. But it was for old traffic violations from like 2015 or 16.
Mr. Knotson, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Tillis?
I'm good.
Oh, Mr. Fleming, Mr. Fleming. You did attend SHISAP when you were incarcerated previously, weren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Abuse.
Is that the, I mean, I don't think it was called that, but.
Steve Hoyle program.
Which one?
Steve Hoyle, substance abuse program.
In 2023 and 24. I mean, I don't remember it being called that, but I took a lot of programs, so.
Yeah, you did. Okay. So you have employment. Where are you going to live? So you're not going to live with her. Where are you going to?
With my mom until I can with my mom until I can get my own place.
So co-parenting is going to provide some real challenges.
I'm sure we can both do it. We both, I mean, it was just a huge misunderstanding. Like, she's a good person, I'm a good person, and we both work and we just take care of our responsibilities. I think because of her being pregnant and hormones and the things that we was previously put through, it was a lot of tension and a lot of misunderstandings. We bumped heads and things just turned out negative.
I'm prepared to vote. My vote is to do not revoke, but I'm going to put a condition on you that you need to have some parenting, domestic abuse counseling, because I'm concerned about y'all's interaction after this situation. So if there is a program where, let me just send you to the day reporting center and then they can help facilitate. Just go do an assessment with the day reporting center and see what their recommendation is to keep y'all from clashing, okay? Because I do want you involved in your children's life. I'm just concerned that you need to make sure you have the tools to handle conflict well. So just my vote today is to not revoke, continue on supervision, and have an assessment by the day reporting center. Mr. Tillis?
I concur.
Mr. Knotson?
My vote is the same with the same condition.
Okay. Today, sir, your parole has not been revoked, but you will report to the day reporting center for an assessment to determine if you need help with conflict resolution, parenting, and things of that nature, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we wish you well. The time is now 6. Good luck. And we're out.
Thank you. Is that it?